Good morning, everybody. This is Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your boy JW Justin Waters in the building.
This is UnderDawg Sportz. Welcome to the show, everybody. We got a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. First thing we're going to talk about is a little bad news. I'm pretty sure by now everyone's heard that Karl Anthony Towns' mom passed away from COVID-19, Mrs. Jacqueline Towns. I think that may be the highest profile death in sports so far. And as far as this disease is concerned. So, this is a young woman. She wasn't an old woman at all. Cat is still in his 20s, so she wasn't exactly a 60-year-old lady who died from COVID. This is a younger woman who died from this disease. It really should put the seriousness of this disease out there. Definitely want to send out prayers to the family. I can't imagine losing my mom, so I guess it's kind of good that the NBA is not playing right now because that would be a heavy burden for Mr. Towns to play under.
Yeah, he actually made an announcement about her. He had talked about it when she was in the hospital. Maybe about 2 weeks ago, he had basically telling us, specifically black people, our people, that, hey, man, you're not bulletproof from this. You're not, this can happen to you at any given occasion. Please, by all means, take this seriously. And unfortunately, it did happen where his mother passed away. And definitely a rest in peace to Cat. He had already been having a long season even before COVID with a series of injuries, and then it cost him the All-Star game in Minnesota struggling. So, also trading his best friend Wiggins. So definitely prayers up to Karl Anthony Towns and the family of the Townses.
Yeah, prayers to anyone who's lost someone through this horrible disease, this horrible sickness, this horrible pandemic that's taken over not only our country but our world. Prayers to our own Omar Diggs, who's currently still fighting the COVID-19.
Yes, sir.
Folks, please take this seriously. Black people can get it, white people can get it, Asian people can get it. Whatever your ethnicity is, your race, whatever it is, you can get it. Don't go to churches where these pastors are, and don't do stupid shit like sending your stimulus money to the churches right now. Pay your rent, pay your mortgage. Take care of yourself right now. And this is a time where you really need to be selfish and keep your space from anyone that you can.
Most definitely. Definitely be careful as well. We just heard we're here down in Texas, and we just heard from the governor of Texas that they're possibly reopening Texas somewhat. The stay-home order will be lifted on April 30th, supposedly, if unless things go for whatever reason go for worse. Still be practicing social distancing. Make sure you're doing everything you can. If you have to wear a mask, wear it. If you are not one of those ones in the greatest of health for whatever reason, whether it's just a condition or just not in the greatest of shape or what have you, stay home or try to avoid all contact with people. This doesn't mean as soon as this lift is happening to go head out and start doing your first daytime party or hit up the club or go ahead and have Sunday brunch. It's still, like it or not, still a disease out there that everybody needs to be aware of.
Yeah, there's good news. Treatments are seeming to help you get through the process faster. However, like Justin said, just take it seriously. It is what it is. This might be the new way of living for a while. But I'm hoping that we can get some sports, even without the fans. I don't care about the fans right now, and I'm one of them. Like, I can't wait to be in a football stadium again. But I just want to see sports, and right now I want to talk about sports. So that's what we're about to do. So a huge weekend for the NBA's G League as they picked up two top prospects. The number 1 prospect and the number 13 prospect have decided to forego college and take the up to $500,000 salary to become a professional basketball player.
I really think this was going to be the inevitable. So the kid, Jalen Green, who's the number 1 prospect in the country right now, so basically he would be today, last week, I should say, he would have been experiencing all the All-American stuff, announced that he's going pro. Now, he got a $500,000 bonus for playing this year. And supposedly, once everything's done with, once we start getting things rolling again in the world, he will be signing a Nike contract. Now, Isaiah Todd's the number 13 prospect, a 6'8", small forward, power forward hybrid who committed to Michigan. He decided that he wants to do the same. He's going to the G League. He's not getting the 500 like Jalen is. I'm not sure what his contract is, but I see this is starting to be a trend now. So I see more kids probably going to hop to the G League, play that year, and then hop to the NBA. So we'll see this happening right now. I think they should just really start to go back to just letting them come straight out of high school, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. With the number 13 prospect, Isaiah, I'm not sure why he's doing it other than, like, you can still get paid. Like, you're going to go to college and pay or get a scholarship and still have to worry about how you're going to eat. Your mom's still struggling back home, maybe with her light bill, maybe with her mortgage. Who knows? And this is the whole thing that we've really been talking about with paying college athletes. Paying college athletes is important because, A, they're bringing revenue to your school. You're paying these coaches millions of dollars to coach them, but the actual people that's doing what needs to be done are just getting a scholarship until your mom can fend for herself, basically. And that just ain't right because the school is making millions of dollars off of these kids. So I am all for it. This is kind of how I envision the XFL going. I'm hoping that we get a spring football league to do the same thing. But any kid that's a top 20 prospect, high school prospect, I would forego the NCAA. I would. I'd go straight to the G League. Why the hell wouldn't I? Because my mama got to eat. I can get a college degree. I can take night classes.
Exactly. Well, the biggest thing is you're only sitting a year and then you can go pro. I would rather be paid. Because here's the thing, with the NCAA, there's a whole bunch of one and dones. But the problem is that within that year, you could get hurt. Your value could drop. But if you go one and done, if you leave high school, you graduate, obviously, you go ahead to the G League, at least you're getting paid. So even if you get hurt, you have insurance, you're getting paid. Someone may claim your draft rights. I think this is the one thing with those two kids. Somehow, whatever team they land on, the NBA team has their draft rights. So they're set. So, I mean, the only thing they may have a problem with is, the team that may have their draft rights may suck. But, hey, you go from being a thousandaire to a millionaire within the next couple of months versus, you got a quote-unquote college scholarship, but then you now have to bank on getting paid. Look at Zion. If Zion, when he ripped out of his shoe, I mean, that could have been more. That could have been an ACL. That could have been anything dealing with his knee, which would have killed his draft stock doing that playing for Duke. Now, don't get me wrong. He was a powerhouse at Duke just for that year, but still, why take the chance? Plus, I want to say this. If you look at it, the best in the last 25 years, I would say the top 10 best players, top 20 best players in the NBA all came out of high school. Kobe, LeBron, KG, Dwight Howard, all those dudes came straight out of high school. T-Mac. It's a rarity now. I mean, if you're good, you're good, and the NBA talents can see it. So I would just have them do that instead. The NCAA is going to make a gripe about it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't care about the NCAA. they've been ripping off black kids for years.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't give 3 hots of cotton a damn about it, and that's just the truth. Until they start paying these kids for bringing in billions of dollars in revenue for them annually, I don't give a damn how they feel. I don't care how many prospects skip college to go get paid, as long as they are getting paid for bringing in millions of dollars for whatever organization in which they choose to go. Until the NCAA starts paying athletes, I have no respect for them. It's basically slavery for competition. And you can say that an education is invaluable, but my mama being able to pay her mortgage is more valuable than that at that moment for some of these
Very
kids.
true.
So I don't give a damn about what I call one of the biggest gangsters in all the world, the NCAA. Been ripping off kids for years and years and years. Alrighty. The NBA parlor games is what you're calling it. They attempted a 2K tournament that was kind of boring as hell. I tried to watch for like 2 seconds. And this NBA horse challenge, what is that about?
Well, the horse challenge was basically, if ever anybody played basketball before, horse is a game where you basically got to match shot for shot with whoever your opponents are. So I hit a 3-pointer, then you got to come behind me and you hit a 3-pointer.
In the same spot.
From the same spot. The NBA, they were trying to do this, but of course they were doing it in a way where it is with social distancing. So one guy would be at his home. For example, they used Chauncey Billups, former NBA player, versus Trae Young, who plays for the Hawks. Chauncey would be at his home versus Trae being at his home, and it was just weird. Chauncey's outside shooting hoops somewhere in L.A. while Trae is in Atlanta right now, and it was boring. It really didn't last long at all. They had my attention for maybe all of 30 minutes, maybe even less than that. The 2K tournament was interesting. Most of the guys didn't play with their own teams. They played with other teams. But watching a bunch of NBA players play against each other, I'd rather them play against the fans.
Well, it's horse, so it isn't really meant to entertain people. I mean, let's just be real with it. It's meant to see who a better skill player is, and without a crowd makes a lot of difference when it comes to sports. The having that edge, having that background, having that pressure. Otherwise, you're just in a gym. And it could be by yourself. In this case, it basically would be by yourself. Maybe you got about 10 people rooting. It's like playing street ball. If you got 10 people rooting, so this is bad. Like, players can't get up for this. They've been playing in front of the crowd since high school. Some of them AAU. They can't get up for this. And how you talking shit through social video I mean, come on. Basketball, sports is about talking shit.
Exactly. So that's why I didn't get this, but I know the NBA is trying anything in its power to go ahead to make something to keep the fans engaged. But I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward more to the Jordan documentary that's coming out tomorrow. And we're talking about our era in high school basketball versus, So this was just bad. I was trying to figure out other things to do. The only thing I could think of is if they had like these slam dunk guys that no name slam dunk guys in high school that are in the NBA versus like street ball guys that can dunk, and they could do it from their rim, and the street ball guy can do it from the empty park, and that would make it be more interesting than horse and the guys playing video games.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It still makes me wonder. The good news is that we're starting to hear whispers that sports could start again without fans. So maybe we're not long for this. Hopefully we're not long for this. But in the meantime, they're doing anything they can to try to get some ratings, like networks, like the leagues, anything they can to build, like, because they still are under contracts, right?
Yes, they are definitely still under contract. But still, it's few and far between because a lot of this stuff sucks that they're trying. I just didn't understand it, but you know.
But once they get
somebody need to go to the marketing board.
But once they get all the players that tested negative and isolate those players even from their family, theoretically, you can start playing.
I agree. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, you already seen Florida made it essential for all sports, which is still very interesting on how they're going to do football. But this is what's going to be. Basketball would be the one I'd be looking forward to. If it is in an empty gym, at least you get NBA quality players. I don't know. One of the things is they keep talking about if the NBA players come back, they'll have a 25-day training camp. I don't necessarily think they should do it. I think they should just maybe a week.
Give them 2.
They can't be too much out of shape.
You got to give them 2 weeks, though.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you 2 weeks.
Yeah, you got
25 days. That's excessive. Because I mean, if they should be in some type of shape now, shooting wise and everything, maybe a different ball.
But everybody's going to be at the same disadvantage. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
That's true.
Everyone's at the same disadvantage. I give you 2 weeks to get back in shape, and we start on that next Monday. And we come up with a plan with how many more games we got left. Or I think you say 10, 15 games. Basically make it a damn tournament or something. And come up with playoffs. And let's go.
Now, the question is also, do they start it immediately after playoffs, or do they start the season where it left off? That's the bigger question, because some people wanted just to get to start the playoffs now, as if it was. Remember, this would have been the last Saturday would have been the start of the playoffs.
I got you, but I think you need 10 games. I think because you didn't have that push for the playoffs, you got to have 10 games before playoff. You got to give teams 10 games to try to make a move in the standings to get a better seed or something, because you need that push. Because, I mean, let's be honest. This is basketball, and traditionally these players take games off. Traditionally, these players are doing what we call load management because there's a push at the end if it's necessary. And we didn't get that this year. So what are you telling the players? You're telling them no more taking it easy, no more load management, because you never know when some shit like this is going to happen again. And what happened has happened. These are our standings. Let's start a playoffs. Or you do a playoff push. What do you do there?
That's the question. Definitely no more load management, because if anybody does load management when this thing starts, I think they should automatically be banned for the rest of the season. Now, here's another question. There's been 3 theories on how they should start this season. Should they start 5, like just throw away, AKA preseason games, then start the rest of the season up again, then playoffs, or just go rest of the season, playoffs, go? Because or the 10 games, I should say, then playoffs go. Because that's the big question. Because all of a sudden, some of the owners want to have a couple of throwaway games or exhibition games. I'm like, no, because it's taking too long.
Yeah, no exhibition games.
Yeah, it's like, let's just start. Like, what are the exhibition games going to do? Nothing. So, yeah, I just need to start and go from there.
Try to help them recoup some lost money on games that don't mean shit.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Because they ain't been getting no fan money in a while, and exhibition games, people are so hungry for sports that they going to go. Or they going to tune in, or they going to tune in if it make these ratings better than they've ever been, because it's competitive, period. You get to see your favorite players again. So I know the league's position. Of course they want exhibition games. Make as much money back as they can, because they've lost a shit ton of it.
Yeah, they've lost a shit ton, and then the fact of the matter is, it's not recoupable. Um,
No,
Hell, they
no.
can't even do any. They can't do anything in the summertime. I do have one theory though. Now that there's no Olympics, period, should the NBA do some extra like exhibition stuff during the summertime to, get some fans? Probably not for, well, probably definitely not going to be for the superstars, but like for these G League players and all that. Because the one thing the NBA did say, they're not 100% sure if they'll start the G League back up again. If they NBA, yes, G League, they may shut down completely.
Yeah. I don't think that they're going to shut down the G League. But I get why they would, because they're using the facility, they're paying utilities, and the G League does not get ratings. But in this climate, they probably would.
Exactly.
So I don't see why you would shut it down. In this climate where people are starved for sports, you can damn near put a golf tournament on ESPN right now and have the highest rated thing on TV. Like, seriously, that's how bad it is in desperation for sports right now.
Seriously. I'm actually surprised, and people keep saying, well, the WWE numbers are down. I was like, I don't think they're down. I think people are watching because there's nothing else to watch. I'll even watch bad wrestling because it's just something to watch versus watching, after a while, you get tired of watching highlights of
stuff you
repeat
stuff
stuff.
You know what happened.
Yeah. Even you and me. You watch Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl. I've watched Steelers ones, a couple of them, even going back to the 70s one before I was born. And after a while, I was like, I can't do this to myself. I'm not watching this no more. We know the outcome. It's very interesting. Moving on.
Right. So, I'm hoping the league comes back. I hope the format in which they come back is going to be a huge question mark, how they do it. As of right now, the commissioner is saying that there is no plan. And saying there was a plan would be a lie. So I think it's time for them to get on conference calls and start talking about it, especially if they're saying if you can test all your players and referees and your commentators and the cameramen, if you can test them all and they all come up negative, and you can basically quarantine those people to doing their job during your filming, then you got a gold mine in both the G League and the NBA bringing it back. So why not bring back the G League?
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. And that's the easiest way you're going to make money now. Other than that.
Especially when you're asking your players to take a 25% pay cut.
Yeah. Speaking of the pay cut, so I guess that's on to the next one.
Yeah.
Here's a question. I don't understand why companies don't have a fallback plan. Because years and years and years ago, we're talking about even before our grandparents were alive, or they may have been little, like when they had the draft and all these young men had to go overseas to fight in the World War I and World War II, sports still survived because they had a backup plan. Now baseball went majority to a women's plan, but football did have a backup plan, and I'm not understanding why the NBA didn't have a backup plan, like an emergency disaster plan, although it's a 7-year difference, just in case stupid stuff like this could occur.
Well, this is crazy. There's no way. How do you plan for this? How do you plan for no fans? How do you plan for a complete work stoppage when it's not a players agreement year, when it's not a collective bargaining year? Like, how do you just plan for all revenue to stop, except for maybe merchandising that people may be buying online, but no one's thinking about it, so probably nobody is. Like, how do you plan for all revenue to stop? That's just think about that in the context of our homes. What if all our money just stopped? How long could we go? So yes, I understand that you don't have a plan for complete revenue stoppage, for a long period of time, because they've been paying these salaries normally since we had this work stoppage. So it looks like they were planned for a while, but at a certain point, I start losing money on something that's been profitable for me, and I got to think about my family too. Now, I get it. We're talking about billionaires here who have money and still should be generating revenue from TV deals because they're paying them. They have contracts, but still, you lose an entire stream of revenue from your fans. All of it's basically stopped.
And that's the biggest issue I have. Now, the superstar NBA players they'll probably be cool with it. Bron and
people
KD,
with endorsement deals.
Correct. They may not be tripping as much, but your 12th man on the bench, I mean, it's almost the same, almost similar to what the NFL was dealing with before the stoppage happened, where they were doing the new CBA with them. And it was cool to the superstars, your Russell Wilsons and your Aaron Rodgers. They didn't like it. But for your guy that may not make that roster next year, that at least he has a solidified spot, or the guy that is your third string X, Y, and Z, they are okay with it because the fact of the matter is at least they're getting some type of income. Same thing with now, the NBA asking the guy that's only making $250 a year, although we could, between us two, we can make $250 work. Taking a $25,000 taking a 25% pay cut, you still $175. You can make things work. It's not that big of a deal, but I guess if you're on a certain lifestyle, it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a certain lifestyle, of course it is, and I get it. Like I said, at least they're still getting paid something. Like 75%, you should still be able to pay your bills, making 75% of your money.
Exactly.
You might not be able to eat steak every night, but you should still be able to pay your bills. That's all.
With social distancing, you should be able to.
Doing good.
Going to a fancy restaurant anyway, yeah.
Right, you should be doing good. Like, it's a cut, but you can get around those cuts for a period of time. So
yeah, so the NBA doing this is not a bad idea. It's only temporary for those guys that are going to be completely bugging out. I think they're tripping because, again, y'all have one of the outside of baseball, they have the highest revenue contracts in sports. So, and there's less of them and more on every other sport around. I mean, NBA on average only has 12 players. They should be okay. I don't think this is a big deal because it's only temporary. Come next year, hopefully everything goes back to normal and everybody gets paid again.
Right. I mean, if we do what we're supposed to do next year, we should be cool, right? Like, next year we should be fine. Do what you're supposed to do. Take care of each other. Social distance. Take it seriously. Don't listen to your favorite politicians right now and think that because they say something, your life being risked is okay. Like, seriously, do not risk your life because somebody says something who's got, all the precautions in the world around them. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of this virus, I guess the biggest news of the week as far as a sports player themselves is Von Miller testing positive for the coronavirus COVID-19. He is the face of Denver's franchise and one of the most dominant defensive players in football right now. He says he feels fine, but this is a big deal. This is more evidence that no one is immune from this virus.
Yeah. And for the NFL, the timing is horrible. With the draft coming up in a couple of days, it's almost 2 steps forward and 2 steps back in the same win. Hopefully, Von Miller gets healthy, and hopefully, remember, he's the second player. Somebody in L.A. Offensive lineman or something from L.A. tested positive earlier last week. So hopefully this, the NFL players catch wind, stop trying to hang out, stop trying to not listen to what's going on, and do what you got to do. Definitely pay attention because this is real.
Who's he been working out with?
That's a good question. Where has he been working out with?
Because we know they're working out together. We're watching them. We're watching players running routes, throwing the ball to receivers throwing the ball back. And I guess you can try to call it social distancing, but aren't you both touching the same football?
Correct.
Or basketball or baseball, whatever.
Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, you had Lamar Jackson practicing with Antonio Brown and his cousin Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, who plays on the Ravens with Lamar. But then you had 5 guys behind them. Somebody was obviously filming, so that's 3, 5, so 8. The guy filming is 9. And then you had a crowd of people looking outside. So you probably had about 16 people within that little area. That's not social distancing, guys. Come on. Y'all got to be smart with it. Dez Bryant, he's another one I've seen. He doesn't look like he was doing social distancing with all these workouts he's been posting. Hopefully they get it. If it's one guy throwing, one guy receiving, and the camera guy, I get it. But other than that, I think it's too much.
Yeah. Again, I still don't like it at all because you're still touching the same ball. Most quarterbacks throw barehanded. Even if you don't throw barehanded, you still are, trying to get a grip, so you're licking your fingers and stuff like that. I don't like it right now. I think it's stupid. I think it's immature. I think it's ignoring the facts that you can pass this virus on the surface. And like I said, who has he been working out with? What kind of working out has he been doing? He's a linebacker, so generally when he's working out, it's some type of physicality involved. Listen, this virus has now affected some of the strongest among us. And I'm glad he's feeling well, but now what about his family who has the potential to be infected? Because we're family. Take it serious, folks. NFL players need to start taking it more serious. I know you got to stay in shape. I know you got to stay the best or try to get to become the best. But you got to live to get there. That's
correct.
Kind of where I'm going with this.
Or the NFL needs to just start pushing out fines for guys violating rules. Now, they can't fine them for having COVID, but if they somehow figure it out, they violated the rules. That's what the WWE did. There's a rumor that Kofi Kingston, the reason why they've only had these one-man tag team action is he tested positive, and that's why he was not in action yesterday with his tag team partner. They need to fine him, period. You break the rules or you not doing what you need to do to be, that could affect other people, boom, we're going to take this away from you. Or we're going to fine you.
Yeah,
do something.
Got to do something. Because we can't get back to normal until people start respecting the damn virus. Feelings be down. Like, seriously. I would love to get back to normal. I'm ready. I'm sure Justin's ready. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you are ready. We miss everything about life, especially sports for some of us. But we got to respect this shit until it's over so we can get back to normal. I'm a little bored talking about the virus, though.
Let's drop that. Moving on, because it is depressing. I mean,
before we stop talking about it, let's give a shout out to all healthcare workers, all grocery store workers, all frontline personnel, all essential personnel for doing their jobs, trying to keep us safe, trying to stay safe, trying to keep us fed. Thanks for all you do. Hope they're paying you more because you deserve it.
Indeed.
All righty.
Thank you for everything.
All righty. Let's move forward. Let's talk a little verses. Let's start off with the current Sixth Man of the Year candidate Montrezl Harrell versus Big Ben Wallace. And I made us add this one on here because just was like Harrell's stats were a little low, but that's because he was held back by James Harden and the Rockets. So I think he deserves this platform. He's earned this platform. He's worked for this platform. So I want to have this debate.
So you're going Montrez, and I respect that because he is a hustler. One thing I would not take away from Montrezl Harrell, even going back to his days at Louisville, he was a hustler. I actually thought he was a poor man Kenneth Faried at first when he first came out of Louisville. And it's not just because he had dreadlocks like Faried, but they played similar. Both hustle guys, both undersized forwards. But I got to go with the ultimate undersized forward. I'm going with undersized center. I'm going with Big Ben Wallace. The man was a beast. I got to roll with him.
I mean, as far as a defensive player, Ben Wallace. But Montrezl Harrell is a scorer. In addition to being hustle man, he can average you double-digit points every night. He isn't going to go get you 20 rebounds. He ain't going to block a whole lot of shots. But he gets you points. He gets you some loose balls that you need. I like the kid.
Now, I respect what you were saying with the points and everything because Ben Wallace, yes, he was never a scorer. I think his career average is like maybe 5 points a game. Yeah, it is. But the fact of the matter is, remember the squad he played on when they went to the championship with Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, and Tayshaun Prince, and Rasheed Wallace. He didn't have to score. All he had to do was protect the rim, and he did that handily and against some of the best centers of all time. Yeah. Like, for example, Shaq.
Yeah.
Remember, his career highlight, everybody won't forget, is in the NBA Finals when he blocked a Shaq in his prime. He went up against the big fella. That's 6'8" versus, and really 6'7", versus the legit 7 foot 300 pounds, and handed him. Did he dominate Shaq? Of course not. Hell no. No one can dominate Shaq in his prime. But I gotta give it to Big Ben Wallace. Plus, there's only been 2 4-time Defensive Player of the Year guys, him and Dwight Howard. That's why I said I'm gonna give it to him, definitely.
Yeah, I'm saying that's great. I like points. I like somebody being able to give me that hustle and take advantage of their mismatch. All these years all these great defensive plays he made, when he was playing against Shaq was still scoring 20. He was scoring 10. If he was scoring 10, like sometimes he was scoring 7, sometimes he was scoring 9, sometimes like he never actually averaged 10 in any year in his career. And those guys where you say he made an impact against them, they still outscored him significantly. So his plus minus is low. I'm gonna go with the guy that can put points on the board and make his defensive deficiencies less vulnerable because I can score. I'm going with the kid. I'm going with Montrezl Harrell. I think he's got a bright future ahead. He's only getting better every year in the league. He has improved thus far. Every year he's been in the league, and these are not slight improvements. I mean, it wasn't hard to improve from the Rockets years because he was largely overlooked and underutilized by Daryl Morey in the Houston Rockets, but that is the same for Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley too. So they didn't value those players enough anyway. But
I thought that was a bad trade for Paul.
Awful.
You lose, yeah.
Awful. We can regurgitate that literally over and over again, and you cannot come up with any reason for that trade other than you just don't think James is enough. Because if he was enough, that cash should have been more than enough. Sorry. I'm going with
Lou Williams actually should have been starting.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have kept Gordon coming off the bench, but Lou could have started at point. I will say this: Lou Williams is one of the more versatile point guards in the NBA.
We getting the Lou.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot you're on the topic. My bad.
Getting the loop. But I'm going with the kid that like gets better every year, scores more every year, improves in rebounding every year. He's just getting better. He's not even reached his peak yet. I love Ben Wallace. I was a huge fan of his game. It was the dirty game. It was that game where I'm not going to score a lot, but I'm going to cause hell. I'm going to wreak havoc. It's the Dennis Rodman type game. And we get into him later too. But points matter. And like right now, Montrez is averaging 18 this season. Like your boy his highest was 9.7. So I'm going with points.
Well, 10.5. He had one season. He had 10 a game.
Where was
I? Double.
I don't see that. Nope.
2009, 2010.
Nope. I see points per game. 2009, 2010 was 5.5.
See, I seen 10 points and 10 rebounds. But keep going.
I'm just.
Sorry. There's a playoff. My bad.
Oh yeah.
That was a playoff.
No. I'm talking.
My bad. That's a playoff.
Yeah.
So you're right. His highest was 9.7.
Right. He's not. I'm going with points. Like my guy is twice as good as your guy on points.
On points, but he's not asked to do anything with points though. Remember, if you have a squad full of players that can score, but you ain't got a squad full of players that can play defense and do the gritty work, you got to figure out a middleman in between, brother. And I got to go with my man that's going to go ahead and do all the dirty work. Because there's no one on that current Clippers roster that's willing to always do the dirty work. I mean, Montrez can do it, but he's only one of them. I mean,
right.
Kawhi can't go against the big. Paul George really isn't a great defensive player.
But Montrez is. Like, he's doing the dirty work. You're making my case for me. That he is their only dirty work guy. And he scores. He
can in this generation. Now, let me ask you this question. Can Montrez in the previous generation go against a Shaq? Because Montrez rarely guards. Here's the thing. He guards power forwards, but he's rarely guarding the big power forwards or the stretch. Well, now you might as well call them stretch fives. He stays in the paint, but he's never having to go after Joel Embiid or Cat.
Bro, or whoever he's having to guard, he's causing about 2 turnovers a game. He's getting over a block a game, and he's not really a starter. He's like a sixth man. Mm-hmm. He's doing all this off the bench with all this energy. I'm sorry. I'm going with points. And he's doing this not being the guy. He's doing this being a role player. In his role, he is getting 18.5 points a game. In his role, he's getting seven rebounds a game. What? He's the third scorer off the bench with Lou Williams? I'm sorry, what? He's just the cleanup guy. That's what he is. He's the cleanup guy.
I'm sorry. If I don't have to necessarily score, I don't need to. It's always about what fits the system. Remember, if you're going back to those Pistons that they played under Larry Brown always had a guy that was basically, look, I'll give you one more prime example. Let's go back before Larry Brown made it to Detroit and when he was in Philly with Allen Iverson. He had Dikembe Mutombo. He told Dikembe, who is basically was a 15 or to 18 point scorer, and made his scoring go down because basically he told Dikembe, all you need to do is rebound and block shots. Dikembe's scoring average dropped. So now Dikembe smelled he sipped that Kool-Aid and played his role of being the defender. Ben Wallace was doing the same exact thing. Montrez is asked to do more. I give you that. He has to because there's no other good forwards on that squad. The Pistons had another school forward that can score. Even Rasheed Wallace told Ben, you ain't got to worry about scoring, bro. I got you. All you got to do is rebound. The only knock against Ben Wallace, is he was a horrendous free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. So letting him score is not exactly the greatest of value, but that's not his job. When we come in and do our jobs as bankers, we're not exactly asked to go ahead and do the ATMs, or a lawyer is not necessarily asked to go ahead and walk the client from the jail cell. that's not their role. His role was to go ahead and rebound and block shots. Montrezl's role is just to do more. I'm pretty sure if Ben's role was to do more, he probably would have. Because in that NBA at that time, my man had moves. He just, again, the only knock against him, he's a horrible free throw shooter. That's the only thing I have to go against on that is, that was it.
He wasn't always on great teams, bro. He was asked to do more, and he couldn't because it wasn't his game.
Because the only things he was bad on with Ben Wallace was when he first got to the league was he was in Orlando. Then he gets traded to Detroit, Chicago, and Cleveland, and he was the man. Well, he wasn't. I mean, obviously, he wasn't the man in Cleveland.
He wasn't the man.
He was the man on defense. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah, he's a great defensive player, but I like points.
Well, here's my other question. Montrezl still has not been to an All-Star game yet.
Okay.
When is he going to do that? Ben's been to 4 All-Star games, Defensive Player of the Year 4 times,
That's
All
when
NBA
basketball
5
value
times.
defense.
Well, now it does it. If we're in today's society, you're right. The basketball is not valued as far as defense is concerned. But back then, when you had a guy, just looking at his highlights and his accolades, my man should be in the Hall of Fame right now. Now, is Montrezl, the way he's going right now?
Because of a couple years good rebounding? You put him in the Hall of Fame?
Let's go back. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. 4 times.
Uh-huh.
5-time All-Star. 5-time All-NBA. 6-time All-Defense. Bro, so you mean to tell me he actually has more Defensive Player of the Year trophies than Dikembe, than Alonzo Mourning, guys of that ilk. And, again, he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. If Rodman's in the Hall of Fame, this guy's in the Hall of Fame. Sorry. The only difference is he doesn't have as many rebounding titles as Rodman. But he has been way more All-Star games, and he's been to way more Defensive Player of the Year. Rodman only has 1. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
this guy has
like the greatest rebounder of all time. What was Ben the greatest at?
Okay. We're gonna have this Hall of Fame conversation.
What was Ben the greatest at?
Defending.
He was the greatest defender of all time?
No, he wasn't
okay.
The greatest defender of all time is Hakeem. So let's go with that. But is he one of the top 10 greatest defenders of all time? Yes. Hands down. Hakeem is the greatest, so we're just going to eliminate that one. I'm going off of bigs. I'm not going off of guards. I'm going off of just straight bigs. Hakeem is the greatest, but Ben Wallace, to have the accolades he did, you're going to sit there and tell me this guy doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, he's not there.
Not yet.
He's been retired a lot longer than some of these other guys.
He'll get there. He's eligible this year. I think he'll have a chance either this year or next year. That's the thing. The NBA doesn't reward defense. That's the biggest problem. It took Dennis Rodman literally 12 years to get to the Hall of Fame. He shouldn't have took that long. If you don't like him because of his whatever he was, his craziness, that's one thing. But his stats just speak for itself. If you're basing it off, the Hall of Fame is based off your stats, not if I don't like you or not.
And stats.
Remember, we had that
scoring,
conversation,
right? And I'm still taking my kid.
But I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so you got guys in the NBA that didn't score a lot. You got a guy named Bill Russell whose career average was 16 points a game. So we can't go off of scoring. We went there last year. We went there 2 weeks ago with scoring. So you're going to let T-Mac get there into the Hall of Fame automatically because he scored a lot of points?
He didn't
do shit?
I'm going with Montrezl.
So we'll go off of that. You stick with the Montrezl. I'm sticking with the flow.
You stick with the old man. I'm going with the kid. I
really hope he has the potential to go further, though. I will give him that. I do like Montrezl, but, we'll see.
Speaking of the worm, Dennis Rodman, our next matchup is Rodman versus Draymond Green. Who you got?
In this case, I told you I would take Draymond Green. I know I'm setting myself up for this one. But I'll roll with Draymond Green over Rodman.
For what?
He's more of a team player. Rodman, outside of the Jordan years.
I was about to say he became a team player when he needed to get in line and win a championship.
Because anybody that plays with Mike was going to fall in line. There's certain players and certain coaches that either you play their way or you may not be in the league anymore. For example, if you play with Chicago, with Mike in that era, if you ain't fall right with Mike and fall right with Phil, you pretty much is like damaged goods. You may not get another chance in the NBA because you playing with the GOAT and you playing with one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. So if you can't fall right with them, then you have an issue.
But for all his antics, he won championships in Detroit too, bro. For all his antics.
Well, here's the thing with Detroit. I get that. He wasn't a starter in Detroit. He was not the starter. Mahorn and Sally were the starters. I mean, Mahorn and Lambert were the starters. But he was an integral part of that. So I'll give you Detroit. He fell in line with Detroit. But once Chuck Daly left,
he was still averaging about 10 points a game for Detroit in those first few years in the league.
But once Chuck Daly retired and once Isaiah left, he started acting up. Then they traded him to San Antonio. He never fit San Antonio. Never. He did his job, but he acted out. Shout out to Coach John Lucas, who runs the camps here in Houston. Him and Robinson never got along. He was shipped. Jordan signed off on Rodman coming. Of course, you're going to drink the Kool-Aid with him. But what happened after Jordan and the Bulls broke up? What happened after the Beatles broke up? Rodman played in L.A., pissed off Shaq and Kobe and everybody else there, had to get traded. Rodman went to Dallas, the Mavericks, played 5 games, got cut. That was the end of his career as far as the NBA is concerned. My man is good. My man is a head case. My man can't stick on a team. And a lot of his teammates really didn't care for him. He had to be once he got older, there was no way of coddling the dude. When he was young, you had guys like Isaiah and Bill Lambert that kept this dude in check. When he was in Chicago, you're not going to tell Michael Jordan shit. And Rodman knew that because Mike was the reason why Isaiah Thomas wasn't even on the Dream Team. So it was like, you see what I did with the Dream Team, bro? You on my squad. You better drink this Kool-Aid, shut the hell up, rebound, or just don't come.
I'm sorry.
And Rodman wanted more rings.
I'm sorry.
Draymond, on the other hand. Go ahead, you got it.
I'm sorry. 13 rebounds a game, forcing 1.5 turnovers a game, averaging 7.5 a game, winning multiple championships. In that era of basketball, you can say he wasn't the greatest teammate. Now you're calling him T.O., but he's T.O. with rings. For all his antics, he's probably the greatest rebounder I've ever seen in my life.
So here's my question. Now, we just had a topic about a guy that played his role, and you said, well, he didn't score.
Correct. Rodman still averaged 7.5. It's still more than that guy. Your guy's only up 1.5 points over Rodman. Like, really.
Okay.
Your guy's not scoring a lot more than Dennis Rodman.
What I'm trying to say
Rodman is dominating him on the boards.
Okay. But here's the thing I'm trying to say. It's another role player. So
both of these are role players.
Hall of Fame players. Thank you. So that's my point. He's another role player, and he's a Hall of Famer. So I just want to go back to the one point. A Hall of Famer got to be a role player. It just takes forever for the role player versus the scorers to get in. But a Hall of Famer, you could be a role player, meaning a guy that specifically told to do this, and this. Rodman and Draymond Green have one thing in common. They always had to go against the toughest guys on the team. Steph wasn't going to my guys. Steph wasn't going against, well, he's too small to go against Braun anyway, or the Kawhis or anybody like that. You had Iggy for a short stint that would go against them, but after a while, that wasn't happening. These two guys had to play their roles. They'd gone against the toughest guys because Rodman, I'll give him that. He had to go against Barkley, Malone, etc. Every great power forward he went against, just being honest. The only time he got dominated was he's dumb enough to go against Shaq. And Shaq, once he got to be a Laker, no one could stop him. Hands down. But my guy, scoring, assist. What's Rodman's career average in assists? So my guy was averaging trip dubs.
When? Oh, you going playoff? No. I'm going body of work. He averaged is what he
He left
averages,
the body
5
of work.
assists. Like, he averaged 5
Okay.
assists. Rodman still scores. He scores decently. He scores when he needs to score, or he scores when they ask him to score. He rebounds every single
They never
night.
asked him to score. Wait, time out. They never asked him to score.
He was asked to score. He scored 10 points a game in early
He scored
parts of his career.
11 in his first year with the.
He had
and he was a 6-man off the
Then
bench.
he had 9.8. Like, he scored some.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reason he averages almost 7.5. It's a
the
reason.
9.8. Now the 9.8 was because that was the year they traded Mahorn.
But your guy doesn't average double digits in nothing. Rodman has double-digit rebounds. Your guy doesn't have double digits, nothing. No. I'm talking about for his career.
They're also a efficient shooting team. So, again, he doesn't have to rebound when your guys are scored. Not to mention the fact is, your guy's a power forward. My guy's playing the 3. He doesn't crash the boards because he's playing basically the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
He's going against James Harden. He's going against
He's playing the perimeter,
Kawhi.
But he's playing the perimeter, but he's not a really perimeter threat. My guy was not playing the perimeter. He was playing down low.
Adjust me on perimeter threat. Meaning defense-wise, because my guy right there, he was giving you, 1.2, 1.62 turnovers. So his average about 1.4 turnovers a game. He's an undersized power forward, which he's not, because Draymond Green, I'm still next to him. He's actually the same height as me. So I would say Draymond Green, they give him 6'7". I'd say he's 6'5". But average, for his career average, 1 block a game for a guy that's 6'5", I just think that's really commendable. And he's asked to score. He's asked to pass. So remember,
he's not asked to score.
He actually was second. He's actually second in on this. He was actually for 4 years, actually 5. I think this year may be his first year. He was actually second on the team in assists. Second.
That means they're bad in assists because he only averages 5 for his career.
But are you looking at the stats? Yeah, because you're also counting the fact that his first year he didn't do shit in the league. He played 79 games. His first year he wasn't asked to do nothing because that was a whole different team under Mark Jackson. Once Kerr got involved, Kerr actually guided his kids to be a better player. Actually, I take it back. His first 2 years were with Mark Jackson. Kerr came in when 14-15. And then that's when you start seeing more scoring, more rebounding, definitely on the assists. First 2 years, he didn't have to do shit. Wasn't supposed to. This is a battle of the second-round guys. So the one thing I will commend is both of these guys were second-round draft picks, weren't technically supposed to be doing anything, that did a lot. But again,
one of them's a Hall of Famer. Only one of them.
Well, one of them still right now. One guy is only 29 years old. So if we're basing off a Hall of Fame.
And I don't think he's got a Hall of Fame career is what I'm saying.
We can't say that.
I don't think he's got a Hall of Fame career. And I don't see him getting better.
We can't say that because of this. 2 weeks ago, we argued about Derrick Rose being a Hall of Famer. Right now, Derrick Rose is not a Hall of Famer unless his game picks up again. But he had the potential to be a Hall of Famer, and then it went left. This guy could be it. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. Right now, he's not showing that he's the alpha dog for this team, but he's doing everything he needs to do as of playing 43 games. He doesn't really try to back down. The only problem with Draymond Green is he can't shut the hell up.
And he don't lead his team in anything. Not assists, not points, not rebounds. He don't lead his team in anything.
He actually does lead his team in rebounds. He did lead his team in rebounds twice.
With 9.5?
3 times. Yes.
With 9.5 led his team. That's awful.
Do you want me to pull up the stats?
I'm looking at him.
He led the league he led his team in rebounds.
I don't say the league. You don't say the league.
No, he led his team in rebounds. He led his team in rebounds. He also led his team in assists.
9.5.
But you can't say that.
His career high at assists is 7.4. That led his team?
As a power forward, you got guards that can't average that.
No, you said that led his team.
Okay. Considering the fact you have a point guard and Steph Curry, that's all world, that he's not averaging 7.4 assists.
Because he's not really a point guard. He's a shooting guard.
Doesn't matter.
Yes,
you say
it
the same thing about
does.
James. No, it doesn't, because James Harden's a 2 guard, but he averaged 9 assists a game. So what's that saying?
But he actually averaged those assists. But Steph Curry, it was part of their scoring offense.
Russell Wilson is not a point guard. He's a 2 guard also. He's just a more athletic 2 guard versus the efficient one. Westbrook.
Yeah.
He averaged, he averaged the trip dub. Still assists.
Correct.
Also, ball usage.
Because the offense ran through him.
Exactly my point. Draymond is not used a lot. As far as ball usage is concerned, that's not his thing. He's not asked. That's not his niche. He's not asked to be the primary scorer, or rebounder, or defender. So I'm gonna ride with Draymond while you riding with D-Rodman. Either way, it's a good one.
Better sixth man, Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford?
I'm going with Jay Crossover, brother. I'm sorry. I got to go with Jay Crossover. Because he should be playing. Right, if the NBA was going on right now, Jay Crossover should be playing. I don't know why. I mean, I know why he's not on the team, because Jay Crossover's 40. But I'm going with the guy that has won the sixth man a year already 4 times and could do anything and was willing to come off the bench. You got to keep reminding people, fail to realize that he was okay, where he could be starting in almost every NBA team. He decided, he said, okay, I'm cool coming off the bench, and made a lifestyle and also made a career of it. He could possibly, key phrase, go to the Hall of Fame because of being the only sixth man to win it 4 times in a row, or not 4 times in a row, but he won it 4 times. So I'm going to go with Jay Crossover on this one. Plus, the excitement was none other.
You talking about 2 players that are the same player? Like, these 2 guys are essentially the same player.
One that better handles, though.
Career points, 4.6 by Crawford. 14.6 for Crawford, 14.5 for Lou. You say he has better handles, but he averages 1.9 turnovers a game.
Mm-hmm.
And Lou 1.7. These are the same player. Okay. They are identical. I like Lou because Lou's still doing it. And he's getting
time out. Wait. Lou is younger. Okay, let's use us as if we're both 38. Lou is younger than us. Jay Crossover's older than us. Jay Crossover is 40. Lou Williams is what, like 27, 28?
And getting better. He ain't 27, 28. He's been in the league since 2006.
But he came out of high school.
Yeah, but
Lou Williams was the last draft class that came out of high school.
Still 14 years. He's not 27, 28.
I don't think he may be just hitting 30. No. I mean, he's still fairly young.
Let me check. Lou ain't young. He ain't no pup at all. Go ahead, though. I get the
Lou Williams, because I'm about to say, Jay Crossover is older, so I said Lou Williams is born 33. So I'm okay. So he was born in 86. But both of these guys, if you look at the bulk of their careers, they started off low and they've been consistently high ever since. The only difference is Lou Williams is actually a 2. Jay Crossover is a point. So Lou Williams is actually more of a scorer than he's a necessary scorer. The only problem I have with both of these guys, and I agree with you, they're really the same player, is both of these guys were not, every time they got hot, it seems like they got traded. When Lou Williams got hot with the Lakers, he got traded to Houston. When he got hot with Houston, they traded him to the Clippers. Jay Crossover, when he got hot with the Knicks, they traded him to Golden State for a short amount of time. Then he went to Atlanta, and then the Clippers for a long time. Actually, these 2 played with each other in Clipperland for a season. But you're right. Same caliber guy. One's a little bit more, one is definitely more seasoned than the other, but one's more of a scorer, one's more of a passer. I'm just going to ride with Jay Crossover because Jay Crossover had probably some of the illest moves you'll ever see on the basketball court. Not knocking Lou Williams, but Jay Crossover can hit you with a move and get to that hole so easily. You can pull up Jamal Crawford highlights, and all day long you will see him breaking ankles left and right. So that's the only reason why I'm gonna go with my guy Jamal Crawford. Not knocking Lou Williams, but just the excitement factor for me.
I just wanted to let you know. You said your guy was more of a passer. Technically, Lou Williams averages 0.1 more assists per game than your guy.
You also got to go with the career down the line.
I don't care. Like, I'm going off of numbers and average, and Lou averages more assists than your guy for the career. These are the same guy. Of course, I'm going with Lou. I'm sorry. I like Jamal Crawford. I wanted, and this is why I'm still so furious that the Rockets traded Lou Williams. Every year, I've always felt Jamal Crawford would be the perfect piece to play next to that idiot with the beard. That's why I'm so furious about the Lou Williams trade, because he was way more consistent than Eric Gordon ever could have been. So, yeah, I'm right with Lou. Lou's still doing it. Lou's still one of the best six man in the world right now. He's been challenged with six man of the year by the likes of a Montrezl Harrell, the likes of Eric Gordon. He is a 3-time six man of the year award winner. If the award had to be given today, I'm not sure he would not be a 4-time six man of the year award winner. I don't know that. These guys are the same guy. I got to see Lou Williams every day. It's just fun to watch. You say your excitement factor. For me, the excitement factor of a guy that can look you in the face and shoot a three-pointer and just shake his head at you and walk away. A hustle guy, a guy willing to do whatever a team asks him to do. I'm rolling with Sweet Lou.
I'll give you that. Oh, my guy, yeah. 4-time six man of the year, so I just have to make sure.
You got one more, but as you said, longevity, right?
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying
longevity,
Lou would probably tie him.
Yeah.
Right now, both of these guys can debate that. Hey, y'all need to change the six man of the year title to one of our names eventually.
Yeah, it's good. These guys are the same guy. That's why this was a sweet one. Like, you cannot lose with either one of these guys. Like, you really can't. It's like if Jamal Crawford had a kid, it would have been Lou Williams.
I'll give you that.
All righty. We got that one. Who's the best point guard, Russell Westbrook or Allen Iverson?
Going with the answer, baby. I got to go with the answer. I like Russ. Russ is Russ. I love Russ's excitement. I honestly think the Rockets will really make it Russ's team and not Harden's team. But the answer just had something, pound for pound, that no other NBA player in this generation has. You may have it old school players like Isaiah Thomas and going back probably further that we know. But AI was that dude, yo. I'm sorry. I'm going with Allen Iverson. I actually just got done watching the documentary last night because there ain't nothing else to watch on TV. I got to go with the answer.
So, A, you're right, but B, Russ. Like, I love Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is probably the best little guy, I guess, of all time. Is he technically a little guy at 6 foot? I don't know anymore because they get smaller and smaller
he's not
every
6
year.
Foot. He's closer to your height. No. They keep giving him. They give Allen Iverson 6 foot. Not 6 foot. He is shorter.
Everybody looks short to you, so everybody looks short to you, except for like the centers. So you cut that out. So A, you're right, but B, Russ. Like, what Russ is able to do all the time, no matter who's around him. You have one of the greatest scorers of all time around him right now, and you had one of the greatest scorers around him of all time in Oklahoma City with KD. You had a great scorer in Paul George in Oklahoma City. now you have a great scorer next to him in Houston with James Harden. And simply put, Russ just kept putting his numbers up. Allen Iverson was the answer because he was the only answer for the 76ers. He was
exactly.
He was their end all be all. He was their focal point. So it's easier for him to put up numbers. It, like I told you in the previous state argument we had, it's always easier to be the best player on a bad team because you're going to get your numbers because they're going to go through you. When there's more options, then I have to pick and choose who I'm going to in this situation and that situation, so you get less opportunity. And Russ has put up his numbers next to the greatest players in NBA history, and he's been consistent with it. There was no greatest player next to AI.
So let me ask you this question. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we had the same debate where I took Russ over Derrick Rose, was it? And you sat there and said, yeah, he put up these great numbers, but they were on bad teams. Russ never made it. Once KD left, Harden left, Spurs left, Russ ain't never made it past the first round. He didn't make it past the first round with Paul George and Melo. AI took a Sixers team that he's the only all-star. Well, him and Dikembe Mutombo, who Dikembe never scores. He's a rebounder and a shot blocker. That's it. That was, I told you, there's the previous thing we were talking about with Ben Wallace. He smelled the Kool-Aid. He said, I'm a rebound, block shots. I ain't got to average no points a game. AI took a team to the finals and was the only team, his team was the only team that beat that 2001, 2002 Lakers squad one game. Remember, they're known, they went 19-1 in their finals run, and AI, of course, had the only win, and that was the step-over move. When he did that to Tyronn Lue, stepped over him. AI was a phenomenon. My man scored. My man assisted. He didn't necessarily have to rebound. And also, let's just be honest, he was not big enough to go against that era of big man when you have your Dennis Rodman, your Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem towards the end of his career, David Robinson, Kevin Garnett, Duncan, et cetera, et cetera. He couldn't do it. There's no way in hell. Russ could do it because, yes, Russ gets an open lane. Go ahead. They block out for him. He rebounds. Of course, he gets it. So he's going to get a trip dub all time.
Yeah, he is going to get a trip dub.
Who's more clutch? Because Russ don't have that many clutch moments. AI has a lot of them. AI will put up 50.
Because who was he going to pass it to?
I mean, he had to, but again, so did Russ.
You're knocking a guy because he had
50-point games and lost still. Russ had 50-point. Russ had 50-point games and lost. They had 50-point games and made it to the playoffs and made it to the finals. My only thing is Russ couldn't make it to the finals or anywhere deeper in the playoffs without him having another star with them. AI did it with no stars.
He did it once, and he won. Finals, and he won one game in the like. You're making a whole argument over him winning one game against the Lakers team.
Like, but he went to the conference finals 4 times. He just went to a more complete Pistons squad
in a watered down era of the East.
Now you know you tripping.
No, I'm not.
Why you do that?
If one player is good enough to carry a team, if one player is good enough,
team is better.
I'm sorry.
This year era NBA is better.
The West, this West was far more dominant than that East.
I'm still going to ask you that question again.
And I said it. And I said it.
Day,
I gave you the answer. This West.
Well, the answer had to go against
far more dominant.
I would take the Pistons team that won the finals over any of these teams in the East, in the West right now.
Whoa.
I would.
Whoa.
I would.
Whoa.
Because now you got a complete team. I would.
Whoa.
I would. I'm not tripping. I would take the Nets team that lost to the Lakers in the finals and go against some of these West teams right now.
Who, the Rockets?
I would definitely go.
But that's not saying that. But the Rockets won't be in the finals. Like
the only 2 teams that won't be in the finals is if you're going against the Lakers, who have a complete team,
or the Clippers,
or who have a really complete team,
or
a really, really complete team.
So
other than that, Everybody else in the West is fair game.
But you mad because Russ couldn't get over the likes of the Warriors when the Dubs were loaded with KD. You're mad because he
couldn't get past.
But that was his competition. The Nuggets are the second place team. This was his competition.
And he couldn't get past them.
Like
he answered this question. When Russ became the man, why were they the 8th seed?
Because he was only the man for 1 year, and what was his surrounding cast? Like, you gotta have.
I can do it.
Who was the second leading scorer on that team?
For Russ?
Yes. When he won MVP, who was the second leading scorer on that team?
Victor Oladipo. He averaged 17. I think he was the second leading one. It's either Oladipo or it was
Now what other team in the league would Victor Oladipo be the number 2 scorer?
Well, now Victor Oladipo is the number 1 scorer. He's averaging, until he got hurt, he was averaging 22.
For
25, actually.
For who?
Look at the stats now. Indiana.
Okay. Who else?
He went to the All-Star game last year.
For who?
With 2 of the guys they traded. They traded 2 guys that now are All-Stars. That same Oklahoma team that Russ was the owner, was the man of. They traded to get Paul George, Oladipo, Sabonis. Those 2 guys are All-Stars. What did Russ do with Paul George? Paul George was supposed to be All-World All-Star. He did nothing. They couldn't get out the first round with a trio of Russ, Paul George, and Melo.
Paul George coming off an injury when he got there?
Nope, that was the year before.
So he wasn't coming off an injury?
Nope,
the first year he got there?
That was the year before. That was when he still in Indiana.
And he had 1 year with Russ, right?
2 years.
And the second year they were much better than the first.
They still didn't get out the first round.
Well, I mean, who they play in the first round?
They still didn't get out first round.
Who they play in the first round?
The first round they played Portland. Still didn't get out the first round.
Oh, well, that's dang.
Here's the thing. AI, the time he got eliminated from the first round was the year after they went to the finals, and that's because AI was hurt, Dikembe was hurt. They had a hurt squad then. But other than that, AI in his prime days, not counting his rookie year, they were always at least the sophomore, either the second year or the second or third round of the playoffs, including the one finals appearance.
So
the only knock you can say with AI is AI was hip hop, and the NBA at that time didn't like hip hop, whatever. But other than that,
he didn't win a title though. Like, you talking about this playoff success without a title?
Never gone to the finals is the man. Until you can tell me he can go to the finals as the man.
But going to the finals don't make you better.
It does.
It makes you. No, it doesn't. Now, going to the finals doesn't make you better. So if that's the case, that means Robert Horry's better than both of those guys.
No, because Robert Horry's not considered the man. When you are the leader of the team,
going to the finals don't make you better. As the man, because Russ went to the finals, but he still got his numbers. He still got his numbers. He still got his numbers. And he still got his numbers. And he still got his numbers. It's harder to get your numbers on a loaded squad because you're like the third option.
He wasn't the third. He was the second option.
Okay, it's harder to get your numbers when you are not the only guy. When you are the only guy, sir, when you're the only guy, this is just, come on, bro. You know it's harder to get your numbers when you're not the number one option. Like, you know that. You know that. You know it's harder to get your numbers when you're not the number one guy.
But you're talking individual
because you
numbers,
have to share. But it's success. He went to the finals. Both players went to the finals.
They went to the team. They went to the finals.
They both went to the finals.
Sixers lose AI. What happened?
Okay, and what's happened? Okay. What happened if Russ wasn't on that team?
Let me finish. Let me go here. Russ, that particular year, Russ gets hurt. Still have KD. Still have James Harden.
Okay.
Still have
James Harden was a bench player at the time. Okay.
And then they move him to starting so he can score more. James Harden won 6th Man of the Year, and James Harden was averaging 19.
What they do in the playoffs without Russ?
They went to the finals. I'm just saying.
Without Russ?
Russ has never been hurt without him.
Yeah, he got hurt in the playoffs because Patrick Beverly hurt him.
The next year, not that year. the next year.
What'd they do without Russ in the playoffs? Was my question.
They went to the third round and lost to.
So
Dallas.
they didn't make it to the finals.
Second round, and then
so they didn't make it to the finals.
But who was the alpha dog on that team? Was it Russ?
So they did not make it to the finals. And Russ that's what I'm telling you.
Have to be the
it's
alpha
harder
dog
to get your numbers when you're not the alpha dog.
You're talking about numbers. I'm talking about taking a team to the finals, my brother.
Bro, but my team went to the finals with me.
Off that squad,
if you when you took Russ off that squad, they did not go to the finals. They went to the finals with Russ.
They went to the
with Russ.
Without
Russ, they did not go to the finals.
But they went to the damn third.
It doesn't matter. They didn't go to the finals. Your whole argument is about getting a team to the finals. Russ went to the finals, and without him, they did not go to the finals.
Hey, you ain't gonna win this one, brother.
I just did. I just took your argument and outdid it.
You smoke it. No, because if you take Allen Iverson off that Sixers squad, they don't even make the damn playoffs.
Again,
Period.
You're saying that you're hypothetically. I have facts that show without Russell Westbrook, they did not go to the finals.
But they went to the second round.
They did not go to the finals.
But they didn't lose.
You don't have numbers for me when they did not have AI. I have numbers for you when they did not have Russ. They did not go back to the finals.
My guy, who's pound for pound the best point guard, one of the best point guards in history.
And so is mine.
Did get hurt.
And so is mine.
Stop it.
Your guy averaged a triple-double in any year of his career?
Stop it.
No.
If you name the top 5 point guards of all time.
Has your guy ever averaged a triple-double?
He didn't have to. He's too small to average a triple-double.
What do you mean he didn't have to?
Your guy move out the way to get rebounds.
He didn't have to? He's a point guard.
My guy to get rebounds.
My guy got rebounds. That means my guy is more complete because he can go get rebounds.
Name the time that Russell Westbrook has been named a top 5 point guard of all time.
That means my guy can go get rebounds. I think he's a top 5 point guard now.
In your opinion. But
I just said that. I don't care. This is my. I don't. Of course, AI is one of the best. He's in the Hall of Fame. But Russell Westbrook will be in the Hall of Fame. You're right. And when Russ retired, it's not a maybe. You on crack now. It's not a maybe. It's not a maybe. Russ is going to the Hall of Fame.
They're letting guys like Tracy McGrady and them.
No. It's not because. It's because of his numbers. It's because of his numbers. It's because of his numbers. It's not because of Tracy McGrady. It's because of his numbers.
The better of the two, bro. So I don't know where you're
one-on-one, I'm taking Russ.
AI was more clutch. AI was more
one-on-one, I'm taking Russ.
AI was more dominant.
One-on-one, I'm taking Russ. One-on-one, I'm taking.
Your guy has never been considered more dominant in the league.
He won an MVP, so clearly he was the most dominant player in the league.
So did my guy. So
clearly he was the most dominant player in the league. If he was the MVP, was he not? Isn't that what MVP means? That I'm the most dominant player? Isn't that what that means?
Are you yelling or let me finish? Because when you have two of the GOATs sat there and said, hey, this guy was one of my biggest players that I will go round for round with, and Shaq and Jordan, they ain't never said that about Russ. Shaq and Jordan sat there and said,
did Jordan play Russ?
Yes, he did. Well, I mean, no.
He didn't. He played Iverson, so of course he's going to say that about the guy he played against. He never played Russ.
What shoe brand is Russ on? So Jordan's going to see it.
Come on, bro. He played against. Of course he's got more. Of course he's got more respect for the guy he played against.
What shoe brand is Russ on? And Jordan still ain't saying shoe, and Russ is on his brand.
Come on, bro. You talking about shoes. I'm talking about playing against a guy, battling the guy. You talking about shoes. You talking about shoes.
I'm talking about what the GOAT said. I'm saying what the GOAT said.
No, what you talking about is shoes.
I'm saying what GOAT saying,
MVP.
We'll move on.
MVP.
Because that's what I'm saying.
Two-time scoring champ, two-time assist champ, rookie of the year, 9-time All-Star.
Yep.
I'm confused. Two-time All-Star MVP.
You're always confused.
I'm going with Brody. I'm going with Brody.
You're tripping. The modern day era, you're going to go with the modern day player, and you're a Rockets fan, so
I'm going with Brody. No, I was going with Brody when he was OKC. I loved him in OKC.
13-time All-Star, 4-time scoring champ, 7-time first-team All-NBA, two-time All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year, 2001 MVP, 2000 three-time Steals champ, four-time Steals champ. Excuse me. Okay, you gonna go with Brody?
Wait.
Okay,
your guy played more years, and my guy's got more All NBAs.
I'm going based off of the years. The last 4 years don't count. I'm going off of his first 10, just like Russ's 10.
All right.
So
as you said, we're moving on. As you said, we're moving on. We got to close out.
I'm going to say this real quick. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. You always tell me this. You sit there on this show and say, base it off of their years and their years. So that's what I'm doing.
And
I'm basing
Brody's
off of
an MVP. He still got 8-time All NBA in those first 10 years. 8 times. All NBA. 8-time All NBA. 2-time scoring champ. All rookie.
He's been first team twice. AI's been first team.
8-time All NBA. 16-17 MVP. 2-time assist champ. Your guy even got any of those? No, because he was the only option. He was the only option.
So if I'm the only option, I can take my team to a championship.
He was not to a championship. Not to a championship. Not to a championship.
My guy's a bum because he took his team to a finals by himself. But if I hooked up with a bunch of guys, so that's basically
no. He didn't hook up. Hold on. He didn't hook up with KD. He didn't hook up with KD and Harden. They were all drafted. He didn't hook up. Don't do that. Don't bring LeBron in this. He didn't hook up with nobody. That's who hooked up.
Did I say LeBron?
I'm just saying this guy didn't hook up with anybody. You gonna make us have to close on this one. You gonna make us have to close on this one.
Close off on this one because it's time. But I didn't say LeBron.
I'm just saying. You said hook up. You said hook up, and Russ didn't hook up with it. He hooked up with Harden again.
I was going to use the guy from Minnesota with the guy from Seattle, and he hooked up with the guy from Boston, and they went together.
They didn't hook up. They were traded.
Well, that's still part of a team.
But they were traded. They didn't hook up.
LeBron.
That's not a hookup.
I wouldn't use LeBron because LeBron did
That's
his
a hookup.
thing. Yada, yada.
What he did was a hookup.
So regardless of the matter, we'll just leave it at that. I don't know where the hell you taking Russ from, but AI clearly.
Russ. Okay. Ain't no clearly.
Sure.
Russ.
Sure.
Russ.
Okay. All right.
Brody.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, that's our show for the evening. Follow me on Instagram at Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your man J Dub. Find me with J Runner with the H at the end on IG. Justin Waters, of course, on that book.
And catch us on Twitter at SportsDawg. This is Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your man J Dub in the building.
This has been UnderDawg Sportz.